Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, entitled as General History, Chapter 3, entitled as Liberation from the Illusionary Energy, text number 48. Please repeat after me. Labdha anugraha acharyat tena sandarshita agamaha Mahapurusham abhyarchen Murtya abhimataya atmanah Labdva anugraha acharyat Tena sandarshita agamaha Mahapurusham abhyarchen Murtya abhimataya atmanah Labdva anugraha acharyat Tena sandarshita agamaha Mahapurusham abhyarchen Murtya abhimataya atmanah. Please recite. Matajis. Mahapurusha abhyarche Murtya vimatayatmanah Labdvanugrahacharyat Tena sandarshita agamaha Mahapurusham abhyarchen Word meaning, translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Srila Prabhupada. Word meaning. Labdva, having obtained. Anugraha, mercy. Acharyat, from the spiritual master. Tena, by him. Sandarshita, being shown. Agamaha, the process of worship given by the Vaishnava Tantras. Mahapurusham, the Supreme Person. Abhyarchet, the disciple should worship. Murtya, in the particular personal form. Abhimataya, which is preferred. Atmanaha, by himself. Translation. Having obtained the mercy of his spiritual master, who reveals to the disciple the injunctions of Vedic scriptures, the devotee should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the particular personal form of the Lord the devotee finds most attractive. Purport. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, the word Labdva Anugraha indicates formal initiation by a bona fide spiritual master. It is stated in the Padma Purana, Satkarma Nipuno Vipro Mantra Tantra Visharada Avaishnavo Guru Nasyat Vaishnava Supacho Guruhu. A bona fide spiritual master must be a soul surrendered at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. In the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, it is stated, Bodha kaloti chastena durmatyam prakati kutam gururyena parityaktas tena takta pura harihi. One pollutes his own intelligence and exhibits severe weakness of character when he rejects his own spiritual master. Indeed, such a person has already rejected the Supreme Lord Hari. The bona fide disciple should always remember that his entire understanding of Vedic knowledge is coming through the mercy of his bona fide spiritual master. If one is superficially or whimsically accepts and rejects a bona fide Vaishnava spiritual master, sometimes being attracted to another spiritual master, one commits a Vaishnava aparadha, a great offense against the devotees of the Lord. Sometimes a foolish neophyte mistakenly thinks that the relationship with the spiritual master is meant for the sense gratification of the disciple. And therefore, in the name of spiritual aspirations, such a fool gives up a bona fide Vaishnava Guru. One should understand oneself to be the eternal servant of the Guru. Srila Jiva Goswami, however, has quoted this verse from the Narada Pancharatra. Avaishnavopadishtena mantrena nirnayam varjet punascha vidhina samyak grahanyet Vaishnavad Guru. One who is initiated to a mantra by a non-Vaishnava must go to hell. Therefore, he should again be initiated properly, according to the prescribed method by a Vaishnava Guru. It is the duty of the bona fide spiritual master to examine carefully the qualification of the disciple, and the disciple should similarly approach the bona fide spiritual master. Otherwise, the foolish disciple and the indiscriminate guru may both be punished by the laws of nature. One should not artificially try to assimilate all of the apparently conflicting branches of Vedic knowledge. Vedescha sarver ahameva vedyaha. Conditioned souls have various conflicting natures, which are engaged by apparently conflicting Vedic injunctions called pravritti and nivritti marg. But the easiest path is simply to learn the process of regularly worshipping Advaya Jnana, Lord Vishnu. All the demigods mentioned in the Vedas are paraphernalia for the service of the Supreme Lord, Vishnu. Whatever exists in the visible material world is also meant to be engaged in the Lord's service. Otherwise, it has no value. If one artificially renounces material things useful in the service of the Supreme Lord, he loses his spiritual qualification of seeing everything as meant for Krishna's pleasure, and will be forced to think of material objects as meant for his own sense enjoyment. In other words, material things should be accepted or rejected according to the pleasure of Supreme Lord. Otherwise, one will fall down from the standard of pure devotional service. As stated in the verse, Labda Anugraha Acharyat. Such discrimination can be learned when one receives the mercy of the bona fide spiritual master who reveals to the sincere disciple the practical application of Vedic knowledge. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmiritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadankitam Vandeham Shri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitantam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijanasetam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakan Vitamscha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Ghoravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dhina Bandhu Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Saptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Krupa Sindhurbhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktaunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna, we welcome you for this today's morning discourse on Srimad Bhagavatam. The background of this verse goes like this. When Vasudeva, the father of Krishna, he was inquired to Narad Muni that Brahmanas tatami pruchhamo dharman bhagavatam stava yan shrutva shraddhaya martyo muchyante sarvato abhayat. Vasudeva asking to Narad Muni that I want to inquire about those duties which gives pleasure to the Supreme Person of Godhead. Any mortal or any conditioned soul who faithfully hears about the devotional service will get freed from all kinds of fear. Like this, he puts a question to Narad Muni. And in order to answer Vasudeva, Narad Muni replies in the 11th canto, 2nd chapter, 11th verse, that devotional service to the Lord is so potent that it is performance, it can purify the entire creation. Not only the performer, it can purify the entire creation. Like this, he started answering Vasudeva. In that context, he quotes the reference. Generally, if anybody asks a question, the speaker gives the answer. Most of the inquirers, they ask what is the reference, where it is from. So, in order to give the reference to Vasudeva, Narada Muni, he quoted the discussion between the king Nimi and the Navayogendras. As we heard on the other day, that how the descendants of Nimi came, the dynasty of Nimi and the dynasty of Rishabdev, how the Navayogendras take place, and the discussion took place. On the other day, from the Lal Govind Prabhu, we heard. And the king, very submissively, he puts questions. He puts various questions. And each question is answered by one out of one Navayogendras. He asks questions like, how the conditioned souls come across from Maya, and how can attain perfection, what is Bhagavad Dharma, like that he puts questions. And the current answer is given by the Avihotra Rishi. The question he puts in the verse 41. The king asks, Karma yogam vadatava purusho yena samskutha vididyeshu karmani naishkarmyam vindate param. King Nimi said, O great sages, please speak to us about the process of Karma Yoga. Purified by this process of dedicating one's practical work to the Supreme, a person can very quickly free himself from the material activities even in this life and thus enjoy pure life on the transcendental platform. This is very significant for us. Even in this life, he can purify and he can be situated on a transcendental platform. That's why a sadhaka, this is a situation a sadhaka aspires always. He wants to get purified and always be situated in the transcendental platform. The same question is put by King Nimi. And the answer, he puts more also. He says that in former, I asked the same question to the Manasaputras, the 4 Kumaras, the sons of Lord Brahma. He put the same question to them. But the 4 Kumaras, they didn't answer at that time. Acharya says that King Nimi was a very small, is not enough age, or he is not matured enough to understand the answer. So, the 4 Kumaras, they didn't reply. But now, he remembered that his inquisitiveness to know how a person can be purified in this life and be situated in transcendental platform. So, he put forward that question again to this Navayogendras. And very mercifully, Havihotra sage, he replies. The replies goes from the text 43 to till end of the chapter. And he explains very nicely that how a non-performance of such duties, forbidden activities or topics can properly understand through authorized study of Vedic literature. The difficult subject matter can be never understood by the mundane speculation. It should be understood through the bona fide spiritual master. That's how the verse starts. Labdva anugraha. The very first word, labdva. Labdva means we got benefit. What benefit we got? Anugraha. What anugraha? And from whom? Generally, everybody, whoever they visit their own spiritual master, they ask, Guru Maharaj, please give me blessings. What blessings? That comes in the next line. Before going to that, we'll go very detailed in this, the very first line itself. Labdva anugraha acharyat. Having obtained the mercy of the spiritual master, please note carefully that it is obtained. It's not it's not possessed, or we, with our intelligence we try to intelligence and our endeavor, we are trying to get the mercy. No, it's obtained. It's just by the will of the Hari and Guru, they give the mercy. In generally, in the material world, we see the qualification leads to success. But in the spiritual association, the mercy gives the qualification and followed by realization. It's not a thing which we can hanker, we can acquire by our own endeavor, but it's by the mercy only. And the same thing In the previous verse, in the verse number 21, it's mentioned that Tasmad Gurum Prapadyeta Jignasu Shreya Uttamam Shabdhe Parecha Nishtanam Brahmani Upashayama Ashramayam. Therefore, one who desires the ultimate welfare must surrender to Guru, bona fide Guru. It's not optional. It's necessary. Until unless we take shelter of this bona fide spiritual master, we cannot advance an inch in the spiritual progress of our Krishna consciousness. It's also confirmed in the Bhagavad-gita. Tadvidhi pranipadena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshayanti te jnanam ganinas tattvadarshina. We should approach a bona fide realized soul, tattvadarshi, and we should surrender to him. We should approach him, surrender to him, inquire from him submissively, and render service without any holding back. That's how we can get the mercy of the Guru Acharyat, Labdva Anugraha Acharyat. And I think 2-3 years back, I heard a very powerful statement from his guest Vedant Chaitanya Prabhu, the temple president of ISKCON Abids. He said in his class that how can we attract the mercy of the Guru or Vaishnavas? What is the key formula? Jai Sri Gaur-Nithai ki, Jai Sri Lalita Vishaka Saita Radha-Rasbihari ki, Jai Sri Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ki. How can we attain the mercy of the Guru? In order to get the mercy, we should have some relation. Without relation also we can get mercy. That relation, Srila Jiva Goswami explains that Diksha, Labdha Anugraha indicates formal initiation with a bona fide spiritual master. Satkarma Nipuno Vipro, Mantratanta Visharada, Avaishnavo Guru Nasyad, Vaishnava Sapacho Guruhu. A person who is well versed in all scriptures, he knows in and out, but he is not a Vaishnava. If you take shelter of that personality, that person, the shelter given and the shelter taken, the both goes to hell. But a Vaishnava who born in a family of dog eaters, still he can be accepted. He is a bona fide because he is a Vaishnava. The Vaishnava itself is a qualification. And when a disciple, he takes former initiation from the bona fide spiritual master, then he is ready to get mercy. And the spiritual master willfully, he can give mercy to anybody and anyone without considering their qualification, possession, he never consider anything, their education or their wealth, or he doesn't consider anything. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he doesn't consider any qualification for the conditioned soul. He just upfrontly, he gave that love of Godhead, whomever he sees. And all the Panchatattva as well, followed by the Parampara. The Vedant Chaitanya Prabhu, he said that we can attract the mercy of the Guru and Vaishnavas just by simply performing the devotional service unalloyedly, without holding back, without any motive. Ahaituki apratyatha. Just with pure heart, for the pleasure of the Lord, the pleasure of the Hari Guru Vaishnava, if a person performs devotional service, that attracts to get the mercy from the bona fide spiritual master, Acharya. For example, if somebody comes and he, with his full heart, he wants to serve. He comes sometimes in the 7 o'clock when the devotees clean the temple hall. The outsiders, where some pious people, they come. Can I do this? And they immediately take the broom and mop and they do cleaning. And by seeing the sincere endeavor, sincere efforts, the devotees, they will pray for the Lord to bestow mercy upon him. A pure Vaishnava who is very innocent at heart, he definitely prays for that soul. Our sincere endeavors in the devotion service attracts the mercy from the acharyas. And then, in which form the mercy? Generally, if the devotee goes to their spiritual master, oh spiritual master, please give me blessings. And if the spiritual master gives a heavy instructions or transformative instructions, or he engages in different services, then immediately the disciples thinks, oh, what I asked or what I got. But the actual mercy, we know, our founder Acharya, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami, he gave the mercy for each one of us. Can anybody guess what he gave? Yes. Srila Prabhupada gave his very wonderful ecstatic purports on Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Not only that, he gave very wonderful program, morning program, evening program, and the day services, sandwich program he gave. Not only that, he gave book distribution, he gave the 4 regulative principles. This is also mercy for giving. Getting restrained from the forbidden activities is a form of mercy. But a person who is conditioned, he cannot see that it is a mercy from the Guru. He thinks that it is a restriction from the Guru. But actually it is a mercy from the Guru. And all these instructions are available in the Shastra as well. Somebody can read and he can come to know. But what is the difference between the living Guru and the Shastric knowledge? The difference is the Shastric knowledge can give the information, but the Guru can transform our lives. Then question comes, what exactly does Guru give? Blessings, emotion, encouragement? He can give, they are all side products, but he gives the process. What is that process? Tena sandarshitagamaha. Tena sandarshita agamaha. Through him, the authorized process is revealed to us. Guru does not invent, he reveals the spiritual process. For example, a math teacher, he teaches maths, but he does not invent mathematics. Similarly, the Guru reveals that how we can chant, we can worship and control the senses, and how we can practice Krishna consciousness. He can teach us, but he doesn't invent a new things. He gives whatever comes in the parampara. He is a bona fide. Tena sandarshit agamaha. That process is given in the Agama Shastras, like Narada Pancharatra, like all the scriptures, how we can worship the Lord, and how we can read or study from Bhagavatam, apply in our life. These all can be followed by personally and exhibited exceptionally, and given the, he can give the process to the upcoming followers, disciples. The question comes, which Shastra we can accept? There are so many literature on spiritual subject matter in outside world. And how can we know whether it's authorized or not? Whether it's going to be benefit for us or not? We should see whatever the Guru, the qualification of the Guru, he performs, the Acharya definition itself says, Acharati iti Acharya. He personally performs those activities and he lead as an example and he instructs and teaches the disciples. And one should accept these shastric injunctions very faithfully and submissively. If one rejects the scriptures and acts whimsically, what does he attain? He neither attain perfection nor happiness from Srimad Bhagavad-gita 16.23. He says, Yeh shastram vidhi ucharja vartate kamakaratha. What is that verse? Nasha siddhim avapnosi na sukham na param gathim. Neither he gets perfection nor he gets happiness. But in general, the day-to-day, if you go to outside world, they see that whatever your heart says, you follow it. This is a trend goes. Whatever your heart says, you follow it. But how can we follow? Because our senses are imperfect, our mind is uncontrolled, our intelligence is contaminated, impure, our consciousness is contaminated by false ego. And how can we follow our own heart, which is so much full of anarthas? That's why we need a guru who is beyond the three modes of material nature, who is beyond these imperfect senses, impure mind, who is fully transcendentally situated. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness is situated in the consciousness of Krishna, Supreme Lord. This we can see. Srila Prabhupada, in his early days of ISKCON, he himself practically exemplified this. He used to cook, he used to offer, and he used to serve the devotees, and he used to feed them, and he used to clean them after they left. Everything he used to do single-handedly. This we can see, the example from the life of the Acharyas. When the Kirtanananda Swami, the Keet, when he observed that Swami is doing so much service with full of love, and he attracted and he pay attention towards Swami's service, and he submissively went to Prabhupada and asked, "Can I help you, Swami?" And Srila Prabhupada immediately replied, "I was waiting for this. I was waiting for this. Waiting. I'm waiting for this transformation can happen in your heart." And it happened, and it transformed so many lives. And so many hippies became happies, and they became great exalted acharyas, Vaishnavas. And they came to India and they preached our Krishna conscious movement very vigorously. And it took a good shape form. And that's how we are here. Otherwise, we don't know where our destination would be. We can see this love for the devotees or love for the guru and disciple appears when we serve with wholeheartedly. It appears in the details. Generally we say the love appears in the details we follow. That's why very meticulously the devotees, they dress the deities. And whenever any service for Guru Maharaj a disciple gets, he pay attention to the details very meticulously. Oh, we should not fold clothes like this, we should fold very nicely, we should iron properly, we should clean the vessels properly, we should clean the uh, room properly. And everything, they systematically pay attention. That's how we can express our love to spiritual master, paying attention to the details. And the Guru gives the process by personal examples. What process he gives? On the basis of morality, he gives a process of liberation, or he gives a process to get peace, happiness. What he gives exactly? That is answered in the next line. Mahapurusham abhyarchen. One should worship the Supreme Person. That is the process he gives. Worshipping the Supreme Lord. And this line itself is enough to defeat the impersonalism. Mahapurushun. The word Purusha is very significant here. That refers to the Supreme Person of Godhead only. Abhyarchen. What is the meaning of Abhyarchen? The disciple should worship. Worship includes so many things. He should acquire the articles, and he should cleanse himself, purify himself. Various processes, cleansing stages are there. And after collecting the articles, he worships and he offers to the Lord. That means he is offering to a personality. It's not like that Lord is impersonal form. Everything can be offered to the Lord. It's a very wrong misconception. This misconception is cleared in this very line itself, that Mahapurushan Abhyarchan. This Purusha and Abhyarchan, both significant words, defeats the impersonalism. God is a person and we offer articles to the personality. We can ask, if somebody says the Lord is an impersonal Brahman, Brahmajyoti, then you can ask a question that, if you offer anything to the Lord, will he eat? The impersonal Brahman which you are offering, will he eat? Will he honor that? No. There should be a person, then only it can be happen. In order to do the worship and offer the articles, one should have that transcendental vision. In the purport, they very wonderfully write the statements that whatever exists in the variable material world is also meant to be engaged in the Lord's service. जो भी हम देखते हैं वो सब कुछ भगवान का सेवा में लगाना है. अदरवाइज इट हैज नो वैल्यू. अगर नहीं लगाया तो उसका कुछ मूल्य नहीं है. If one artificially renounces material things useful in the service of the Supreme Lord, he loses his spiritual qualification by seeing everything as meant for the Krishna's pleasure and will be forced to think of material objects as meant for his own sense enjoyment. If he doesn't offer whatever he sees in the material world to the Lord, he will miss the qualification to see that everything belongs to Krishna and everything came from him. That spiritual vision he loses. So, in order to get that transcendental vision, we should offer whatever we came across in the material world, we should offer to the Supreme Lord. Then we will get that transcendental vision. And we will get freed from the sense enjoyment as well. For example, Prabhupada also, so many times he quotes that in iron box, it becomes authorized when the government of India, post office, engages in the service of the government. That iron box becomes a authorized junction where we can send them emails and letters to the destination. Similarly, the Archa Vigraha form of the Lord, He mercifully, He appears in the form which we can perceive. The Supreme Lord, He is beyond the three modes of material nature. He is Adokshaja. We cannot perceive Him with our naked eyes, with these material eyes. He can be perceived in the form of Archa Vigraha. Mercifully, spiritual master, he requests the Supreme Lord, "Oh, my dear master, please manifest in this marble Archa Vigraha, in your form of Archa Vigraha, so that we can easily reciprocate with you, we can render service to you." By the request of the spiritual master, Supreme Lord appears in the form of Archa Vigraha. And there we can render service to the Supreme Lord. Because we don't have that purified senses, purified heart, purified consciousness, we don't have. We are already contaminated. That's why spiritual master, he gives the process where we can get purified and get situated in a transcendental platform. Now, the question comes, which form of the Lord we should worship? Murtya abhimataya atmanaha. Murtya, the deity form. Abhimataya, the form we can worship, where we can get connected to more. In other words, we can call it as Ishtadeva. Ishtadeva. One can perform the service to the Lord in the form of Archa Vigraha to the Ishtadev. But which Ishtadev? Question comes. Lord Shiva, Lord Ganesha, Mother Saraswati. Which Ishtadev? The Ishtadev should be in the parampara, like Narsimha, Jagannatha, Gaurnitai, Radha Krishna. It should be authorized. He is the same Krishna appeared in different forms. We see in the Mahaprakash Leela of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the 21 hours of ecstasy, he manifested to the different devotees in different form. For example, that Kulavesha Sridhar, he wants to see the Lord always in the small boy form who comes to steal his banana leaves and the products from the banana tree. He wants to see in that form. And Lord bestows him. And the Murari Gupta comes. He is a avatar of Hanuman. He comes. And at that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives darshan in the form of Lord Ramachandra. Different. When Advaita Acharya comes, he asks, the Lord replaced Advaita Acharya that on that day you are fasting and you are not eating anything because you didn't relate the particular shloka of Bhagavad-gita into pure devotional service. And I came in your dream, I came there and I explained that verse and the meaning. And one time he gives a special darshan to Lord Nityananda and Advaita Acharya in a universal form, which is very special. Like that he reciprocates, the Lord reciprocates to the different devotees according to his own inclination towards the Supreme Lord in different mood and love. As we know from the Bhagavad-gita introduction itself, Lord the conditioned soul has relation with the Lord in 5 primary rasas and 7 secondary rasas. According to one's own inclination towards Supreme Lord, the Sabhav, one should worship the Supreme Lord. We should not worship whatever our own imagination form. I create my own God, I will worship him. No, it should be authorized by the Siddhanta, authorized in the Guru Parampara. Then only we will get the actual benefit of getting purified and being situated in the transcendental platform. And in summarize, in today's verse, we saw that labdva anugraha acharyat. Once one get the mercy from the spiritual master. What is that mercy? The mercy is nothing but he gives the process. Tena thandarshita agamaha, the process which is personally exemplified. What is that? Mahapurusham abhyarchen. One should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Murtaya abhimataya atmana. The form which we are most attracted towards and which can give so much realizations and a blissful happiness in our current practicing of Krishna consciousness. This is a summary and the meaning of the verse. We can see in the life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he exemplified this and he gave the process by personally following, and all the devotees followed. And the Parampara, Srila Prabhupada also gave the same principle, and all the ISKCON acharyas and the followed with the disciples, they are also following the same. The question comes, sometimes in the purport, Srila Jiva Goswami explains about the Vaishnava Aparadha. It's a very grievous thing which we can look into. That if a person thinks that spiritual mastery is just to, I will read out exactly. If one superficially or whimsically accepts and rejects a bona fide Vaishnava spiritual master, sometimes becoming attracted to another spiritual master, he commits a Vaishnava aparadha. One should not reject one's own spiritual master. One should always humbly obey his instructions and follow his orders. If he thinks, no, only he is there to give me initiation and he will be at his services, I will be in my services. And in due course of time, he will get attracted to some other guru because of the more use of smartphones, and he will do spiritual shopping. Wherever he feels pleasure, he will hear, and he will attract to the different gurus, and he will reject the present guru. Then he will become a greatest offender. And there is no chance for him to get rectified until unless he comes back and begs forgiveness from the spiritual master. Like this is a very great threat for the ISKCON devotees, because nowadays, because of so much use of smartphone and technology, most people get diverted and easily get distracted by the word jugglery of different so-called gurus. Like that, there are so many. One who got fame, name, and they think that he is a bona fide. No, we should see whether he is a bona fide guru or whether he is following the process which he is teaching. Ultimately, is it connected to Krishna, the Supreme Person of Godhead, or not? We should see. It's not like that whatever we get and we should go through and get learning and reject and sometimes get demotivated and leave from the ISKCON. It's a great threat. We should be always cautious. Srila Jiva Goswami says, if such a thing happen, a guru is fall down and he not following the authority in the parampara, then he can be reinitiated. Punascha vidina samyag grahanyad vaishnavad guru. In the purport, Jiva Goswami mentions, he can be reinitiated from the bona fide spiritual master. And he can get connected and he can be engaged in the process and worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna. Anybody have any questions, comments? Prabhuji?
Hare Krishna. Once Srila Prabhupada, that time Prabhupada in 1966 when he opened the 22nd Avenue Matchless Gift, he started uh, Sunday Love Feast. Then he used to cook himself. Then some hippie was coming regularly. Then one day after the feast, he comes and asks, Swamiji, can I do some service? Then Srila Prabhupada replied, just now I was praying to Super Soul. Now I cooked the feast. Who will clean the pots? Send somebody. You have come. So clean the pots. This is what I heard. I don't know. Kitna, you heard this?
Yes, Prabhuji. I also heard like this. But devotees for
When Srila Prabhupada writes in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adirila, 7th chapter, so Prabhupada writes, when the disciple chants very nicely and he feels ecstasy, right? That time, like when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went and asked, what kind of mantra you gave?
yes.
I feel madness and tears flow. Then Guru, his spiritual master smiled.
It's
Right?
working.
His spiritual master smiled. So Prabhupada writes, spiritual master is not satisfied when a disciple brings lot of money or disciples or this and that. When he chants, when he feels ecstasy, that time spiritual master is very satisfied. So that is when we can chant nicely and feel ecstasy, that means we are receiving the mercy of the spiritual master. That is the real mercy of the spiritual master. Then service and all, it comes. When you chant nicely, that is the meaning of chanting Hare Krishna, right? Please engage me in your service. So that service will come. So that is a symptom of receiving the mercy from the spiritual master. That you develop taste for chanting and you feel ecstasy.
Yes.
So one Mataji asked Prabhupada, how can I please you? Then Sri Prabhupada replied, many people they think, oh, if you distribute my, that is also there. Then Prabhupada told her, if you chant nicely, I'll be very pleased. Like that. Another time, Prabhupada, somebody asked, one disciple asked, Prabhupada, how can I please you? If you love Krishna, I'll be very pleased. Another time, one disciple asked, Prabhupada, how can I please you? Then Sri Prabhupada said, if you are happy, I am very happy. So, how can I be happy? By chanting Hare Krishna. So, these are all there.
Yes, Prabhuji. In fact, in the morning, after chanted Gayatri, I prayed to Gaurnitai. After chanted my Gayatri, I prayed to Gaurnitai. He gave me this thought that you should quote the pastime of Ishwarapuri and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But somehow or other, after sitting here, I forgot. You mercifully narrated that.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. And especially that point I felt benefited very much. You said that we draw the mercy of the Lord and Vaishnavas by sincerely executing unalloyed our services. Prabhuji, I had a question. You were mentioning, quoting this line of the purport, that if one superficially or whimsically accepts and rejects a bona fide guru, sometimes becoming attracted to another spiritual master. So my question was that while listening to other bona fide spiritual master, why will a person reject his or neglect his spiritual master? If he is listening to some non-bona fide, that is okay, understandable. Here in our Bhagavatam class, daily we are listening to so many different spiritual masters. visiting here, Bombay. So then how to understand that he will reject his spiritual master? Thank you.
We can clearly look into that a person does spiritual shopping through different lectures and hears whatever is pleasing to the ears. There is a great chance that he, without without his knowledge, he deviates from the original path which is given by the Guru. And he says that Guru is not that much elevated. He only superficially, or he speaks on only the bodily platform. He doesn't give high spiritual relation or highest the ecstatic pastimes. He doesn't narrate. Like that he may think and he approach different. Then immediately his fall down starts, because he did a great offense toward the lotus feet of spiritual master. Not only that, by doing this, he rejects the Supreme Lord Hari. Tena taktyedana pura harihi. He rejects the Supreme Lord himself also. Not only the spiritual master, he gets bereft from the mercy of the Supreme Person of Godhead. One should be very cautious. We know by the Guru's mercy, we get the Supreme Lord Krishna. From the Supreme Lord Krishna's mercy, we get the Guru. It's a circle, vice versa. But there is a difference. When we have the Komal Shraddha, simple faith, that with simple faith, when we perform devotion service, spiritual master sees and he bestows mercy so that we will get Krishna. And when we get Krishna and he gives the firm faith, and we will serve the Guru. Before first attempt is simple कोमल श्रद्धा, उसके बाद तो दृढ़ श्रद्धा हो जाता. It's a circle, infinite circle. We should be very cautious not to commit Vaishnava Prada towards Supreme Spiritual Master. Okay, we'll end here. Gantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande.